Now, this case has sparked intense debate across social media, and after the verdict came down, some of Carmelo Anthony's biggest supporters suddenly started asking questions they weren't asking before. What they discovered has completely changed the conversation. Before we get into today's story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get into it.
Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty, as he should, over the incident that happened more than a year ago of him stabbing that boy at that Frisco track meet. Let me be very clear, people. First off, that family raised over $600,000 damn dollars that was supposed to be the main purpose to the boy attorney fees. They gave this boy a public defender. You want to know why, in my humble opinion? Because his family, his parents looked at that situation, knew exactly that that boy had no chance at all. So what they did was they went to go spend the money on damn houses and materialistic things such as dodo brain black people do, all right, and threw that boy under the bus, all right. Number two, his own witnesses, keep in mind, who were all black. Basically, they didn't throw him under the bus. They told the truth. All right. Let me tell you what happened. First off, let me start off by saying this. The Democratic Party has literally taught and possessed black men and women in this country to hate white folks. Oh, you better not talk. Meanwhile, Don Lemon is getting pumped out by a white man every night. You look at black representatives that represent the Democratic Party, all of them are getting pumped out by white folks. And yet they try to possess you. They try to convince you that white folks are bad. Oh, black folks, oh, they oppress you. Oh, they bad. So the youth, the black youth is already under this possessed mentality of, oh, I ain't gonna tolerate nothing from a white man, no matter what. That boy provoked this situation. He went over there and hissed, and the other team 10, okay, provoking this boy. There was witness there that said that the boy did not want no problem. He told Karmelo Anthony that this is a track meet. I want no problem whatsoever. But no, Karmelo Anthony wanted to be somebody cool. He wanted to be a poser. And he walked his butt over there messing with people, provoking people, until that boy had enough and pushed him. Then you gonna claim self-defense? No. He runs through the knife, right? And take off. That's not no damn self-defense. You went over there fishing for a problem. And now that the day is here and you found guilty, now you want to cry? You want to cry, boy? That's what you want to do? You all try to make the society make it. And you know, this is America, so it's always going to be a black and white thing that did the same thing with O.J. Simpson. Unfortunately, you have white folks and black folks trying to make this into a damn race thing, led by the Democratic Party, okay? But if you're a conservative and you have common sense, like most of us conservative, you will realize that this isn't a black or white thing. This is common.
Y'all keep saying Karmelo Anthony got 35 years because he's black. I don't agree with that. I think he got 35 years because his parents didn't have his best interests at heart. Let me tell you why. Everybody goes through an arraignment, and almost everybody gets offered a plea deal. That's how the system works. If Karmelo had accepted a plea deal and pleaded guilty, he probably would have gotten a much lighter sentence, maybe 5 years, maybe 7 years, or some lesser charge. Prosecutors make these deals all the time, but instead, his parents pushed him to plead not guilty and take the case to trial. Why? Because once he pleaded guilty, that fundraiser would have lost momentum. The money would have stopped coming in. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. So no, I don't think he got 35 years because he's black. I think he got 35 years because his parents chose to gamble with his future. Instead of taking a deal that might have reduced his sentence, they rolled the dice on a trial. And everybody knows the risk. The court makes it clear. If you reject the plea deal and lose at trial, you could face the maximum sentence. Nobody goes into that process without being warned. It sucks. It really does. But his parents knew what was at stake and still pushed forward. In my opinion, money became the priority. There were other options that could have led to a lighter outcome, but those options disappeared the moment they chose trial. And now a young man is going to spend decades in prison because of it.
While most of the Black community is crying about Karmelo Anthony having to spend 35 years in prison, I'm crying about the fact that his parents weren't with him in the courtroom when he was sentenced 35 years in prison. that he didn't have his mom and his dad beside him, that while his parents are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, keep in mind their fundraising goal is over $1 million, and they're choosing to buy a house. While they're getting hundreds and thousands poured into their fundraiser, they aren't by their son, who is guilty of murder, spending 35 years in prison, that they're not with him in the courtroom. That is what makes me sad. That should be a wake-up call to the Black community, a wake-up call to anyone. It makes me have more faith that he was a nice person, that if he was raised by different parents, maybe raised in a different community, that he wouldn't have done that, that he would have understand proper ways to use self-defense. It shows the parents, it shows how they are, and it also kind of shows how the Black community is setting kids up for failure. How we're teaching them that just because you're Black, you are less valuable, that nothing will go your way, that you have to kill to survive. That is not the case. That is setting your kid up for failure. That is brainwash. That is corruption. What makes me sad, and what should make everyone sad, and not just the Black community, is that his parents weren't with him in the courtroom. That they could have spent the last second, minute, hour with him, with their own son, instead of being wherever they were at. What is the fundraiser for? For you to get a better house? For vacations? For a new car?
I don't understand where all of these donations is coming from without people actually vetting the character of the people that's getting the donations. It's weird. Um, I can't say what the parents should or shouldn't do. I can only speak on what I would do. I would be there in the courtroom. First of all, my kid would have never been in that position in the first place. And so I've always said that we are failing, not we as in me, but as a culture failing, as Americans, Black people, Black culture failing their children to raise them up in the admonition of God to ensure that they are not out here crashing out. I got to be in the courtroom with you when you get sentenced. I got to be there. I got to be standing with you. What are they doing all of these interviews for? What are they running around and doing all of this stuff? I talked to the father on the phone, and I'm like, yo, I mean, we could talk about using my platform for more visibility. But then at the same time, I had to decline, and I was like, you know what? It's no point in me reaching out because what if that affects what they got going on?
Karmelo parents and the sorry ass defense team is why he lost in court today. If you don't already know, Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty, and it's his parents and the defense team's fault. Now, he had enough money raised to hire one of the best lawyers in the country, but his parents mishandled the funds. They wanted to vlog and floss and, spend the money on other things. And they told you that they spent all of his money, and y'all donated even more. What gets me about stuff like this is, now you pass over smaller families than the Black community that ask for GoFundMe, donations to they're facing homelessness, they need a car, something like that. Y'all pass those up and tell them to pray about it. But Karmelo's parents spent his money. You donated more. I don't understand how y'all think, but it's not for me to understand whether you like it or not. He was found guilty, and that's the end of it. Austin's father, I think what really pushed it over is Austin's father not taking a completely right-wing agenda. He wasn't, pushing all the racist, pro-white things. He just said he's not racist. He doesn't want any of the pro-white people, trying to make it into a race issue. And he forgave him. So this white man who had a Black man take his child away from him still held no malice in his heart. And I think that's what helped their case the most. My personal opinion. But his parents, like I said, had the ability to hire a lawyer and get a desirable verdict, but you make the mistake that most people make when they get money in their hand and they not used to having none. On y'all again.
Karmelo Anthony will still be proven not guilty on appeal, and here's why. So there's a lot of speculation on my last video People wanted Karmelo to be convicted just because of his skin color and their feelings. But what the law reads and the law states is different than what people feel and what people see and what people trying to make it out of race motivated. So here's why he will win on appeal. So if you was actually watching the trial and you know the law, you know he will be granted an appeal and his ruling will be overturned instantly once they review the transcripts from the trial. One of the main reasons he will win his trial is because the prosecutor brought multiple lay witnesses on the stand, and after cross-examining them and after questioning them, the prosecutor asked them, do you think this is self-defense? And guess what they said every time? No, I do not think this is self-defense. I think he is guilty. You can't do that. And the defense team had to be working with the prosecutors and the family, because if I was on the defense team and I was Karmelo's lawyer, I would have said, objection, Your Honor, that is an impermissible question. That is leading the jury. That is persuading the jury. A lay witness cannot answer a question deciding the verdict or they cannot give their opinion on the verdict, and the jury cannot hear that, which could cause the jury to be persuaded. Because if you got a lay witness who witnessed the crime, and they say, oh, I don't think it's self-defense, only an expert that is in law can answer that type of question. A lay witness who is not an expert in anything cannot answer a question deciding the verdict in the guilt of the suspect. The jury cannot hear that. That is an impermissible question. The defense team should have said, objection, Your Honor, that is an impermissible question, which is leading the jury to persuasion. That's why he will win his appeal almost instantly, because the jury can hear multiple lay witnesses get on the stand and say, oh, I don't think this is self-defense. You're not an expert in law. You don't know what self-defense is. You don't know what the law is on self-defense. You a high school student. How can you know this? Karmelo will be still proven innocent, and he only got 35 years for a reason. Once he go up for appeal and they see this critical mistake that they made, I bet they will offer a 10-year sentence. Karmelo Anthony still will be going home to his family soon. And that's what I'm saying. It's not about race. Y'all got to learn the law. Y'all putting y'all feelings into it. I'm not trying to defend nobody. I'm not trying to defend Karmelo. I'm not trying to defend Austin. I am defending the law because I know what it reads. And y'all cannot convict this man off of his skin color and how y'all feel. Because, yeah, it was a terrible situation. It should have never happened. But this is the law, and he will not get buried up under the law based on your feelings and your goddamn motivations for skin color. Fuck you.
Guys, this shouldn't be an argument. If you stab somebody at a school event, you should go to jail. Why didn't you just fight the other kid? What made it seem as if it was a good idea to stab another child? Why are we fighting over this as black people? What the hell is wrong with y'all?
So Just Me 090702 said also Karmelo Anthony could have taken a plea deal, but his family wanted him to go to trial so they could keep getting money. They advised him against a plea deal so they could keep getting money. That is tragic. That is the reason why. And this is absolutely true. So black people, all you ignorant folks who think Karmelo Anthony his trial was so unfair and that everything that happened to him was because he was black, not because he broke the law and killed somebody. Please listen up. Karmelo Anthony's defense team and family, a plea deal was brought before them. They did not have to go to trial. Unfortunately, though, for Karmelo Anthony's family, if Karmelo Anthony had accepted the plea deal, that means he would have admitted guilt. And with Karmelo Anthony admitting guilt, had he accepted the plea deal, that GoFundMe money would have gone away. And that's just unacceptable for the upwards of $700,000 that his family was raking in from people all over the internet. So yes, Karmelo Anthony's family had the opportunity to plead guilty, accept a plea deal, and most likely get less than the 33 years that he was given. But Karmelo Anthony's family decided to go against Karmelo Anthony's best interest, keep all the money that they were raking in, and go to trial. All of America, all over the internet, was gassing Karmelo Anthony's family up, talking about how innocent he was, talking about it's self-defense, talking about people should keep their hands on themselves or else they'd F around and find out, and that's what Karmelo did. Coupled that with the greed of his family of not wanting to give that money back, they said, let's go to trial. We'll risk it all. We'll risk the possibility that we have to be able to get our child, even though he unalived somebody, we'll still risk the possibility of being able to get our child less of a sentence.
Him. And one white jury had the motherfucking audacity to sit in that damn box and cry. Bitch, don't fucking cry. It's too late for your tears. Your tears was needed when you was back there deciding within 30 fucking minutes of his life. Problematic. He has been terrorizing that school, terrorizing students from other schools, and if they put him on that stand, it was going to come out. And the teachers. Those kids got up there and lied off of a relationship. And the prosecutors led it. They have an ethical duty to make sure witnesses testify truthfully, and they did, because it was a win for them. They cost one of ours their freedom. So these white people that are out here, teach your kids to keep their motherfucking hands to themselves. We mind our business until y'all get in our fucking business. We don't show up to trouble. Y'all create trouble, and we gotta get in fucking trouble. So leave us the fuck alone, and we will leave y'all the fuck alone. Period.
And when you step back and look at this entire situation, one thing becomes clear. The bigger twist in this story isn't the verdict itself. It's the fact that some of the loudest supporters who spent months defending Karmelo Anthony and his family are now turning around and asking the very same questions that critics were asking from the beginning. Questions about the fundraising, questions about the legal strategy, questions about whether the people making decisions truly had Karmelo's interests at heart. What started as a movement fueled by emotion has now become a conversation about accountability. Because when the dust settles and the headlines fade away, people want answers. They want to know where the money went. They want to know why certain decisions were made. And they want to know whether this case was handled in a way that gave Karmelo the best possible chance moving forward. Regardless of where you stand on the case itself, the situation is a reminder that loyalty should never replace critical thinking. Supporting someone doesn't mean refusing to ask questions. In fact, the people who genuinely care are often the ones who are willing to ask the hardest questions. Now the family faces even more scrutiny. Former allies are distancing themselves, and the debate surrounding this case is far from over. But one thing is certain, the conversation has changed. The focus is no longer just on what happened in court. The focus is now on the decisions that were made outside of it. As always, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Black Voice Daily, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.